Hey folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel. I've had a subscriber requested rant on Vince McMahon officially selling all his shares of WWE, and for the first time since 1982, we could say that Vince McMahon Jr., Vincent Kennedy McMahon, is not like the lead boss here officially of WWE. I mean, we could have said that for a few months or even a few years with all the comings and goings of Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, playing footsie with the Vince McMahon, Janelle Grant accusations and pending litigations apparently. So what are my thoughts? How does this affect WWE? How does this affect Vince McMahon? And how does it affect, most importantly, you, the pro wrestling fan, perhaps the WWE fan, perhaps the fan that watches all of wrestling or checks in from time to time? These are my thoughts. Ready? First, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, how it affects him. You know, we've seen people deep into age, you know, like in their later years. You can't count people out. I mean, I think it was Dan Rather just turned 92 years old, and he's still very prominent and still very articulate. This is the newscaster. There are people that go past 100 and they're still contributing. I mean, I've heard stories of somebody I know was saying that their grandmother still drives in her hundreds. She still drives your car past age 100. So, you know, hey, look, it's fascinating. So Vince is 80. So if you're talking about someone who's driving their car at 100, who knows what Vince can do in the next 20 years. And if anyone has the inside secrets, if there's some type of genetic pill or a sacrificial lamb or some type of voodoo to stay alive forever, it's probably Vincent K. McMahon. So does he have a third act in him? Does he have another surprise in store for us? There's rumors going around that Vince might start another wrestling promotion. I think any of that is possible. I mean, it would be a total FU from Vince to the world, so to speak, the World Wrestling Entertainment. If he were to start up a promotion, even just to take some shine away, Vince might be upset. I'm not sure if he has any stake in the United Football League. I know that The Rock bought the XFL, which is now merged with the USFL to form the UFL. I don't know if, I'm assuming Vince has no ownership in that either at this point, but who knows? I mean, you got to do something with your money. And I don't think Vincent Kennedy McMahon is the type to just give all his money to charity or give it to his children or his grandchildren. He probably is a spiteful guy, and he probably will do something big or attempt to. And but of course, he's got to get through this litigation stuff. And you know, the common sense thing, folks, is people, whether you think Vince is guilty or not, or how much he should pay this woman, they did have an agreement. Janelle Grant was supposed to get $3 million. And Vince apparently paid the first $1 million, defaulted on the $2 million, meaning he didn't pay it. So the NDA, I mean, some people are pointing out, well, she broke the NDA. Actually, she didn't. Vince broke the NDA because he didn't pay her the second installment of $1 million. And this goes to my theory that Vince wanted to be caught. Vince wanted people to know about this. In the secret crevices of his mind, Vincent Kennedy McMahon is a sick person, a sick individual, and he wants people to know how depraved he is. And he's a child that was abused. If you read the interviews that he did himself, apparently he was sexually abused as a child. Scott Hall talks about how Vince told him about that. So just Vince never got the proper therapy, the proper help to deal with these horrible things that he went through, which I do feel for him. But he basically continued this cycle and took it out on other people, including us, the programmers. I mean, the people that watch the programs, the consumer. If you look at the things like the Kiss My Ass Club, Trish Stratus on her knees, barking like a dog, stripping to her panties, all of Vince's activities, having his head stuck up Big Show's ass, all of these things were sexual in nature that had never been seen in wrestling, pro wrestling, okay, before then. So Vince took his issues and made it part of our lives, okay? So let's put that on the fucking table. So Vince, I'm not sure. I mean, I keep thinking that maybe Vince will get the Jimmy Snuka deal where, you know, Snuka talk about wanting to get caught. Snuka putting in his own biography that Vince McMahon left a briefcase full of money for the police officers looking into that possible murder way back when. And Snuka had to go to court, and the judge said that Snuka was not fit for trial medically. And then Snuka died not too long after that. So I kept thinking, well, maybe Vince will experience that type of deal, but he didn't, or he hasn't yet. So we'll see. Remember 3 or 4 or 5 years ago when Vince would come on TV, people were really worried about him. Like Vince looked kind of shaky and wobbly. And then it seems like in this, and when they sold out to TKO and the merger and Endeavor and UFC, it looked like Vince had that little Hitler mustache and he seemed a little bit better. So who knows? How does this affect you, the wrestling consumer, the WWE consumer, and Triple H and Stephanie and all this stuff? I'm going to quote the famous Who song. You saw the song, you heard the song in the movie Top Gun Maverick. It's been used in commercials. It's a classic song. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. We won't get fooled again. I mean, just that's the song of the day, folks, for WWE. If you watch, I watched WrestleMania this past year. Hall of Fame Friday night, first inductee Paul Heyman, and you would think it was the induction of godhood for Paul Levesque. You know, Paul Heyman just putting over Paul Levesque, good-naturedly teasing Stephanie McMahon, but really the shine was on Paul Levesque from the opening of that weekend, the WrestleMania weekend. Paul Heyman set the tone. We watched WrestleMania Night 1. Michael Cole is putting over Paul Levesque. Paul Levesque, you know, the weather and Paul Levesque. Those were the things on Michael Cole's mind that night. And also The Rock was, of course, a big part of it. The Rock on the Hall of Fame, getting his own little belt, you know, the People's Champion belt, which supposedly he had before from Muhammad Ali's widow type of thing. So basically we had... the whole weekend was, and of course, the third and final night, or the second night, Rock winning the match, getting the pin over Cody Rhodes for his team. And then the next night, we don't see The Rock. Well, we do see The Rock in the ring interfering from Roman Reigns, but we see Cody Rhodes winning the title, and you think this would be the Cody Rhodes moment. He did have his wife. They brought out Brandy Rhodes for that. They didn't bring his dog out, at least not that I saw, Pharaoh the magical dog. But the shine, once again... Cody Rhodes' victory speech, I want to thank 2 people. I've never seen this before. An Oscar speech right after you win the WWE title. He wants to thank Paul Levesque and Bruce Pritchard. Okay, so my point is, why did we see Shawn Michaels grab the microphone after going an hour and 2 minutes with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12 and thank, Vince McMahon and Gorilla Monsoon or whoever the fuck? Did we see... Roman Reigns after one of his title victories over the unification of Brock Lesnar? Did he grab the microphone and want to thank anybody? No. So for all the shit we say about Vince McMahon did have apparently a rule that he tried to enforce, which was, don't thank me at the Hall of Fame. And most wrestlers, ironically enough, except for DX, Triple H in that crew, honored that. They didn't thank Vince, you know, and I think Flair might have bent that rule or broken that rule, but for the most part, the not so secret was don't thank Vince at the Hall of Fame. Well, look at Paul Heyman thanking Paul Levesque up and down. Then we get this show, and Cody Rhodes, like I said, wins the title, and suddenly he's thanking Bruce Pritchard, a behind-the-scenes guy, who ironically enough was, according to Ronda Rousey, the appendage or the avatar for Vince McMahon. And Bruce Pritchard, since 1987, has been Vince's go-to guy with a couple of breaks in there when he was fired for several years at a time. But Bruce Pritchard and Paul Levesque getting thanked to close WrestleMania, do you think that was spontaneous? Do you think that was spur of the moment? Do you think Cody Rhodes went into business for himself and said, I really have to thank Paul Levesque and Bruce Pritchard right now? That's... in the core of my being. That's going to get this moment over. That I ended this, 3.5, 4-year title reign of Roman Reigns. I have to thank Triple H and Bruce Pritchard. Was that on the top of his mind? That was just spontaneous. Come on, wake up. So this is all contrived. This is all mapped out. All the things that you think are spontaneous and off the cuff are not. Okay, they're predetermined, pre-planned, and that's fine as long as you have the intelligence, like I do, to recognize that. Don't feel as if they're Cody Rhodes he just had to thank Paul Levesque and he just had to thank Bruce Pritchard. No, this whole WrestleMania weekend was a shine show for Triple H and The Rock. And then, I happened to catch SmackDown a few weeks later, and they were presenting these tag team belts, Triple H and Nick Aldis. And why isn't Nick Aldis wrestling yet, by the way? They're presenting these tag team belts on SmackDown to whoever the fuck they are, the heel guys. And the heel guys are making fun of Triple H. And then Nick Aldis steps in and says, if you ever give him a hard time again, you're going to have to answer to me. So once again, it's now Nick Aldis is getting in on the act. This is what I've hated about WWE specifically, but also a lot of wrestling for 20 years now, and Eric Bischoff started it. These heel authority figures or even babyface authority figures, and the wrestlers are acting like children to placate to these authority figures. And I'm sorry, but having grown up and watched Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen and feuding with Dusty Rhodes, there was very little presence of any type of authority figure. Occasionally you'd have Bob Geigel or Jim Crockett Jr. jump in the mix. But for the most part, it was the wrestlers. Guess what? The wrestlers were the authority figures. The world champion with that 10 pounds of gold or whatever title he had, that was the authority as a pro wrestling fan. For 20 years, the younger fans have grown up with these authority figures as these daddy figures. And I'm sorry, it's not entertaining to me. It's not entertaining to me to give a flying shit who is the general manager of SmackDown. Oh boy, Teddy Long's going to call for a tag team match with The Undertaker. Oh, Jiminy shit on a stick. It's not fucking entertaining, folks. So people that get all excited are all moist in their panties about who's going to be the commissioner of the women's division on TNA, the knockout women's division. Mickey James is going to come in, or fucking Karen Jarrett's going to come in and clean up the division. Who gives a flying fuck? It's really childish and stupid if you think about it. But any fucking way, let's move on. So my point is this, folks. The Castle thing, the Clash of the Castle, Glasgow, Scotland, Drew McIntyre. Hopefully he can appear at it. Apparently he's working through an injury. Good for him. But my point to bring that up is the thing I saw yesterday, the meme, as it were, is that the tickets are selling, quote, like crap for the WWE's big show in Glasgow. Everyone wanted a big show. Well, you got a big show, but people don't want to pay the price, nor should they want to pay the price. And the price literally, as the fucking kids say, is $634 American for the nosebleeders, for the high sky in the high seats. The shit seats are American, $634. Well, in this worldwide economy and people having to struggle to pay for their food and so forth, I don't blame the people in Glasgow. If you're an intelligent person, why would you spend all that money to go see a fucking show that you can sit there and watch at home for $10 American for the whole month on Peacock? And I'm assuming that these fine folks in Glasgow have Peacock, or they have some type of streaming service, the WWE Network, whatever they use over there to watch WWE. Why would you watch it? I mean, yes, I want to be a part of something. Okay, horse shit, whatever the fuck. But, I mean, is it really worth that much money? I mean, the WWE just swinging their dicks around and expecting you to suck. Well, go ahead and suck, but apparently nobody's sucking. So apparently these Glasgow fans have the intelligence, or they don't have the money to waste on this horse shit, okay? So if you think that, oh, everything's changed, well, price gouging, I mean, was there ever a situation? I mean, for years, the WrestleMania tickets have cost a lot of money. But did anyone ever complain about it, like they're complaining about this Glasgow thing? Did any fans, especially international fans, revolt and refuse to pay the price? I don't think so. So the legend of this, folks, the story remains: who meet the new boss, same as the old boss. You will get fooled again in this case, because the marks will still watch. This WWE draft is so boring. I refuse to watch it. I catch moments on YouTube, but I'm not going to wrap my schedule around it. So fans, it's up to you to wise up. MikeMessier.com. Go to my website. Stand me on social. Buy all my books. MikeMessier.com. One Pro